Welcome back to Crime Adjacent, the #1 true crime podcast in the world, thanks to you. I'm glad you're here. Here's where things stand in this case. It's September 2024, just last year, in northern Michigan, Walloon Lake in particular. Did a man in a clown mask really break into a vacationer's rental cabin, rub her feet while she slept, and then run off with all her shoes? Yes. If you haven't listened to episode 1 of this season, it debuted last Wednesday and is available on podcasts everywhere. Go back. It sets the stage for everything to come, and these episodes should all be listened to in order. But briefly, to catch you up. In the early morning hours of Thursday, September 26, 2024, a man in a clown mask broke into the cabin of vacationer Claire Gasley and literally stood at the foot of her bed, reached under the covers while she slept, and caressed and rubbed her feet. Claire was sure the man was wearing a clown mask. She described it as sort of rubbery and lifelike, but with arched eyebrows, a scratched, dirty red nose, scars and stitches, and long, wild red hair on the sides. It sounded like a mask from Spirit Halloween rather than, say, Fizbo. I miss Fizbo. As you can imagine, Claire wakes up to discover this guy rubbing her feet, and she begins screaming bloody murder and chases the man away. The guy fled through an open door with a bag containing all her shoes and socks. We don't know exactly how long he was in the cabin. He clearly spent some time gathering her shoes and bagging them. But how long? No one knows. Well, that's not exactly true, because someone knows, or maybe multiple someones. I'll get to that. But what's even creepier and more terrifying about this is that it wasn't the first time. Claire was not the first victim on Walloon Lake. There were more. In this episode, we are diving deep into clown crimes and why people are so freaked out by them. And we are also getting an in-depth criminal profile of the Walloon Lake clown creeper from Deputy Alex Swanson. This early profile helped put together the pieces of a murderer who would soon become known as the Michigan Nightstalker. Here's the story. But first, hey friends, this is it. Today is the day. Our first True Crime College live stream goes live today, Wednesday, December 3rd at 4 p.m. Pacific time over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/crimeadjacent. This first True Crime College is free and open to all, and the premise is simple. I assign a short reading about true crime or profiling or the sweet nerdy convergence of sociology and pop culture and crime, and then we chat about it. It's like ongoing education for us super cool true crime and drama podcast nerds. This first reading is from historian Dr. Joy Wiltenberg, and it explores something I've always been fascinated by and honestly somewhat guilty of for this fascination: true crime and why we're drawn to it. The good news is Dr. Wiltenberg has theories, lots of them, about why we're drawn to true crime and for how long. And it turns out humans have been looking into this darkness since forever. So I'm excited to share this one with you and talk about it. The essay is on Patreon right now if you want to read it beforehand, but honestly, no pressure if you don't. This is supposed to be fun. I'll do a short recap and then we can talk about it. So head on over to patreon.com/crimeadjacent, and I hope to see you later today. From San Francisco, this is Crime Adjacent, the never-ending true crime story told weekly. I'm Chase Patrick. Before we dive too deep into this case, we need to talk about clowns. Creepy clowns, happy clowns, scary clowns, all the clowns. They become this almost cultural totem of terror and fear. But why? Aren't they supposed to be entertaining? Yes, sure, but the thing is, just like foot fondlers, they turn up in true crime all the time. This is the wildest one I found while researching this season. On the morning of May 26, 1990, in Wellington, Florida, 40-year-old Marlene Warren opened her front door to a clown holding carnations and 2 balloons. One reportedly read, "You're the greatest." According to the CBS News show 48 Hours, her young son, Joe, was with her. They were eating breakfast, and he recalled to 48 Hours years later that his mom was actually excited, like she knew she was receiving one of those old-fashioned singing grams, or in this case, I guess, a clowngram. I would never answer the door. Thanks to the inventive Ring cameras, I would see that and not answer and go hide, like, no thank you, go away. But this is the 90s, and people used to actually answer their front doors, and this used to be a thing. So Marlene and her son are just standing there, waiting for gifts and song. Marlene even exclaimed, "How nice," while they waited. But this clown, without a word, draws a gun and shoots Marlene point blank and then strolls back in the clown suit to a Chrysler LeBaron before simply driving away. Marlene died 2 days later, and the case instantly became one of Florida's most haunting, enduring mysteries. The investigation narrowed quickly to Marlene's husband, Michael. Joe told 48 Hours that his mom had said at one point if anything ever happened to her, it was probably the husband. Police usually focus on spouses right away, but clearly they had a good reason. But police ruled Michael out. He had an alibi. He was heading to the horse races with friends that morning who vouched for his whereabouts. Open and shut, right? It's not him. But he wasn't completely free of suspicion. Investigators soon centered on Michael Warren's other love interest, a woman named Sheila Keene, an employee at Michael's used car lot who would years later become Michael's wife. Detectives traced the clown balloons and flowers to nearby stores, collected orange hair-like fibers from an abandoned LeBaron they'd found, and heard from costume shop workers in the area who said a woman resembling Sheila had bought a clown outfit just days before the killing. But despite this, the physical evidence just wasn't strong enough to charge Sheila or anyone, and the case went cold. For years. For decades. And then, advances in DNA testing revived the file. In 2017, investigators said improved techniques linked a hair found in the getaway LeBaron to Sheila Keene Warren, and she was arrested for first-degree murder 27 years after the shooting. The state's case still faced problems common to old files. Lost evidence, deceased witnesses, faded memories, but the new DNA finding finally put prosecutors in the courtroom with a charge they believe they could prove. But there's a wrinkle. On April 25, 2023, just weeks before trial, and after being jailed for years awaiting trial, Sheila Keene Warren decided against the trial. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, receiving a 12-year sentence. Remember, she was arrested back in 2017, so in late 2024, after time served and good conduct credits, she was released, an outcome that angered Marlene's family, but also closed the book, legally at least, on the killer clown of Wellington. That may be one of the most bizarre and terrifying cases involving a clown and murder that I've encountered, like Pennywise come to life. But the thing is, clown mask crimes are strangely common. In 2015 in North Carolina, a woman reported that someone in a clown mask broke into her house with an axe and attacked her. After a struggle, it was revealed the clown was actually an acquaintance. In December 2024, a group of 4 burglars, all wearing clown masks, broke into a woman's home, also in Florida, and stole $40,000 worth of goods. Then there was the wild clown sighting spree of 2016. Do you remember this? Apparently it all started in Green Bay, Wisconsin as a guerrilla marketing campaign for a movie. Like, how eerie, a lone clown on the road in the middle of the night. But it spread. The New York Times wrote about a clown epidemic in South Carolina in which kids reported that clowns were trying to lure them into the woods. California, England, Russia, Fiji, this epidemic of creepy clown sightings was seemingly everywhere. Just weeks ago, in Virginia, in October of this year, 2025, Ring camera footage showed 3 people in clown masks in the dead of night demanding entry into a home. Like, let us in now, or we're breaking in. It was honestly so scary watching these distorted, haunting faces come and go in the camera lens in that weird black and white footage of night surveillance. This one kept me up at night, even though it later turned out to be a prank. But why? Why do clowns have this hold on us? Social psychologists have theories. Nerd out incoming. I'll be brief and then we'll get back to Claire and Walloon and a pretty sweet criminal profile by Deputy Swanson. So for starters, a clown mask is, well, a mask. So it hides your identity if you're looking to do crimes, like no face, no case. Just don't leave your hair DNA behind in the getaway LeBaron, I guess. But clowns also play into long-standing social psychology about faces and our need to recognize them, to read safety cues, and what happens when we cannot. There's the imagery of clowns themselves, sort of half human, half sad, half happy. That's 3 halves, I know, but you get the idea. It's like this uncanny valley of visual determinism. What's the intent behind these distorted features? Hard to tell. In his book, Bad Clowns, Bradley Radford sought to investigate why clowns go bad and why people fear them, especially if they're supposed to be entertaining, jovial characters. He said creepy clowns date back centuries, and across cultures, there's just something unreadable and foreboding about them that contributes to this fear. And if we're talking about clowns and crimes and murder, it's impossible to avoid John Wayne Gacy, the Chicago area serial killer who dressed as Pogo the Clown for parties and then killed young boys and men at night. Whether it's real clowns like Gacy or fake ones like Pennywise, Radford said this confluence of psychology and media image from movies and TV shows about creepy clowns add up to wider dominant cultural fears that persist. Just like the fear spreading on Walloon Lake in late 2024.
Parles-tu français? Hablas español? Parli italiano? If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Wondery. Spelled BABBEL.com/Wondery. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I feel like I should pause for a moment and set the scene for people who haven't been there. I need to do the mitt. Everyone from Michigan always does the mitt. Take your right hand and put your palm facing you and your thumb out. That's the mitt. That's what Michigan looks like. And people always point on their hand where they're from, like, I'm from Holland, way over here on the left side. Detroit is sort of below the thumb, on the right edge, getting closer to your wrist. Lansing, the state capital, is basically in the middle-ish, middle left. And Walloon Lake is basically, well, your ring finger, but like an inch below the tip, more or less. Way up north, northwest side of the mitt. You get the idea. The lake itself sort of looks like a tuning fork that has been spread apart. One arm, the west arm, is longer and deeper, and the other arm, the east arm, where Claire's cabin is, where I was staying, is much shorter and not so deep. There's a public dock where people can launch their boats in this arm, but from what I can tell, people launch their boats and just go to the other arm, the longer arm. So this part of the lake, the east side, the short, fat arm, has sort of a tranquil, peaceful feel to it. There are times, even in the middle of summer, where there are no boats at all. Maybe a few tubers or wake surfers, In the evening, people bring out their sort of cocktail cruising pontoon boats and just slowly meander around at sunset, enjoying the views and all the beautiful houses. Okay, so that's a long description of this place, but there you go. I hope that sets the scene for where this season takes place. I guess one more thing. Petoskey is the biggest town nearby. It's got well under 10,000 people, so it might seem super small, but somehow it's not, or it doesn't feel like it. In the summertime, thousands upon thousands of people flood this region. It's wild. So Petoskey is this thriving gem of a town with an incredible downtown, gas lamps, a big grassy square, and bars and restaurants and hotels that are just swimming with people in the summer. Petoskey is about a 10 to 15 minute drive away from Walloon, so not far. The place you go for dinner or to shop when you're bored with boating or just need groceries or whatever. Okay, there we go. That should be it. So remember, Thursday morning, around 6 a.m. or so, a man in a clown mask rubs Claire's feet. She calls 911. The sheriff and a sheriff's deputy arrive. I told you last time that I was out on the lake, swimming and paddleboarding at the time of Claire's break-in and assault. I didn't hear anything. No screams, but also no boats or cars. It was dead quiet. I would have heard something. By late September, the tourists had gone home. The lake was abandoned, except for the jet ski. Sheriff's deputies on the lake ride jet skis around, and a few of the locals told me they're sticklers for life jacket checks or DUI checks, that type of thing. But the sheriff, Deputy Alex Swanson, hammered her jet ski up to my paddleboard and trained her service revolver on me. Out on the lake, Deputy Swanson demanded I paddle ahead of her at gunpoint to the shore to Claire's cabin where we would sort everything out, she said. Honestly, I sort of get it. I don't blame her. I'd probably do the same. I mean, you get this strange, harrowing 911 call. You just have this wild break-in and assault on the lake, and you go out there to investigate, and there's just literally one man, a stranger to town, out there paddleboarding and swimming around in late September when the water is definitely getting colder. I tried to explain that I was a former Marine. I run and swim every morning, but Swanson wasn't having it. She said I could explain everything on shore. The gunpoint was a little much. I was literally just in my swimsuit. You could tell I wasn't armed, but fine. Okay. Thankfully, by the time we make it to shore, we encounter her boss, Sheriff Morgan Press, an older woman with a long gray ponytail tucked into a sheriff's ball cap. Turns out, she's a fan of the show. So fortunately, I was ruled out immediately, much to Deputy Swanson's chagrin, I might add. That wasn't my main concern at this point. My main concern, as I stood on the shore with the sheriff and with Swanson, who looked like she was sad to have not gotten the chance to shoot me, was Claire, and where she was, and what had happened. I still didn't know at that time if she was okay or even what had happened. Thankfully, she emerged from her cabin at that very moment. She was in a hurry. A big hurry. Shoeless, she tossed her belongings into her rental, eager to get away. As Claire opened the driver's door, Sheriff Press eyeballed Claire's feet and asked, "One more thing before you go. Is there anything else you're missing? Anything not accounted for?" Claire said she didn't really have much to begin with and shook her head. No, not that she could think of. But it was the way Sheriff Press nodded slowly, frowning, as if she wanted to push a little harder, but also didn't want to keep Claire any longer than she had to. It was a light bulb moment, and I asked, "So this isn't the first time, is it? This guy, he's done this before, right? He's taking things." Claire's jaw nearly shattered. "He's done this before? You should have warned people. What the hell?" Claire looked at the cabin one last time, as if she needed to go back for something. Then she simply got into the car, slammed the door, and sped off, barefoot, to the airport. Deputy Swanson was giving me daggers at this point, like, "Smooth move, moron. She's already freaked out enough. What are you doing?" But Sheriff Press filled me in. She explained that they didn't know at that point that, they had a repeat offender. A man had done something similar a week ago over on the other arm of the lake, and the sheriff thought it was a simple one-off. At least, she had hoped so. She was not looking forward to putting out a press statement, but felt like she had to at this point. Because Claire was right. People should be warned. There was someone out there wearing a clown mask, breaking into cabins and rubbing people's feet. Press said, this lake is going to go nuts. Then, out of the blue, she clapped her hands once, firmly, rubbing her palms together a few times. Okay, she said, never mind that. Swanson, show me what you learned. Swanson looked at me, looked at the sheriff, looked at me again. Finally, she examined the cabin for a long beat, gathering her thoughts. Swanson, I found out later, had recently returned from the prestigious 10-week program offered by the FBI to train local law enforcement in profiling, investigations, terrorism, all sorts of things. She was basically being groomed to replace Sheriff Press when she retired. Swanson was very fast on her feet. She said, no noise. That's the first thing. No cars, no boats, nothing. He came on foot, escaped on foot. This guy, this podcaster, I guess, is the only guy out on the lake that I saw, and you think he's not the one for it. Press nodded. Thanks, I guess. Swanson took a long drag on a vape and held it. Her words came out with no smoke. He's done this before, that's obvious. He came prepared, with a bag for the shoes. He didn't take anything last time, but everything this time. No violence. I mean, he didn't beat her or assault her, just the foot rubbing, which, I guess, would be enough. So he's a foot fetish guy, and he's definitely local. Press asked, how so? Because he knows which cabins, single women, on vacation. He's been watching them. He knows which cabins are for rent, which are not, which one are locals he should avoid. And my guess is he made a few dry runs, tested locks, that type of thing. Press stopped her again. So? Swanson swirled around, taking everything in. The lake, the cabin, the road, the quiet. I'm pretty sure she wanted to shoot me just moments earlier, but it was a treat, honestly, watching her work, watching her put together a makeshift profile of the suspect. Nikki, the producer of this show, my sister, and the former police detective, would have been impressed. I know I was. Finally, Swanson said, male, mid-20s to 30s, local or seasonal staff who knows the shoreline paths well enough to approach and leave on foot without lights, engine noise, or getting lost. Offender shows a focus on feet, shoes, and a ritualized low-contact script. Breaking in, bagging shoes, rubbing feet, the mask, suggesting prior peeping or trespass or burglary, and a stash of footwear or maybe covert recordings at home. Likely socially isolated, struggles with adult intimacy, maintains irregular hours, so maybe service maintenance work, and carefully pre-surveils rentals to select single occupants. Press nodded. I could tell she was impressed as well, and the vibe I caught between them was sort of local, knowledgeable expert training the rookie, who was doing great. Although, interesting, I also noticed she kept looking away from the cabin next door to Claire's. Not mine, the one on the other side, the burned one, as if she didn't want to look at it or be around it. She seemed uncomfortable, jumpy, when we strolled over there. I chalked it up to nerves. This is a strange case already. Swanson went on, sort of thinking out loud at this point as she took another pull on her vape. The main thing now is risk. The risk to escalate exists if his ritual no longer satisfies, so I'd watch for increasing control behaviors, physical restraint, or sexual contact. Expect him to revisit scenes, walk the same routes, maybe try these cabins again. Press asked, leakage? Digital leakage? That was a fancy forensic term for all the traces we leave behind. Cameras, Bluetooth, GPS in cars, computer Wi-Fi hookups, that type of thing. Swanson shook her head. I don't see it. No. I mean, unless the cameras outside are up and running, which I doubt they are, they look old. And you're not allowed to have cameras inside these short-term rentals, so no, I bet the offender knows which cabins and routes he can take, which tells us he's a local for sure, with time on his hands. But I bet he's savvy enough to stay out of any cameras and to escape unnoticed, so also smarter than usual, but just barely. It wouldn't take us long to figure out that this part of Swanson's makeshift profile was dead wrong. Because there was a camera, many of them in fact, and they recorded the whole creepy thing. Next time on Crime Adjacent. Sheriff Press, Swanson, and I were in the backyard near the lake trying to figure out what to do about the cameras we had just discovered in the cabin when we heard the commotion. Yelling, shouting, slamming doors, the whole works. Word traveled fast somehow. The locals, it seemed, had heard about the creeper already that morning, and 2 of them rushed over to the cabin arguing about who was to blame. Locals or short-term vacationers like Claire and me. It was an ongoing debate that was only coming to a head. Sheriff Press had feared that the community would come unglued once news of a second break-in hit the local newspaper and the local social media pages. She didn't have to wait that long, because Lakeside residents already had a suspect in their sights, and they were out for blood. Don't forget to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/crimeadjacent, because the first True Crime College is today, Wednesday, December 3rd at 4 p.m. Pacific. It's free and just a fun way for us to get together to chat and learn. I'll see you there. Until next time, this is Chase Patrick from San Francisco with a reminder. It's not crime, it's crime adjacent.